bringing sports, entertainment, and technology podcasts together. This is SPNT.
SPNT's Thursday Tech Talk is brought to you by Stitcher Smart Radio. Download the Stitcher Smart Radio app today at stitcher.com/SPNT.
Welcome to SPNT's Thursday Tech Talk, the show where we bring you the biggest stories in the world of video games, computers, tablets, mobile phones, and more. Now here's your host, Nick and, well, Nick. Two Nicks, if you didn't catch that. I'm not sure which Nick is which. Maybe they can tell you when they come on the mic. In fact, please do, guys. Maybe one of you is Nicky, maybe one of you is Nicholas. Makes it easier for the listening audience.
Oh, yes. Gotta love Uncle Rob. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Thursday Tech Talk here on the SPNT network of podcasts. I am Nick Suberling. After a little bit of a hiatus, we are back and better than ever. Episode number 8. And 8 is a key number in this episode. Why is that, Nick Wallace?
Because midnight tonight, Windows 8 is going to launch. So it's kind of a perfect opportunity for us to take that hiatus and come back strong with 8 for Windows 8.
For those of you watching live on or I shouldn't say live at spnt.tv or on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/spnttv. I think I got that right. You'll notice that my co-host Nick is awfully still. That's because he is running Skype tonight on the new Windows 8 platform, and he's testing out the Metro. So, Nick, give us your initial thoughts before we hit up our headlines.
It's a very interesting experience on Metro. The interface is very sparse and clean. Not that that's a bad thing by any stretch of the means. I can see now I've been spoiled on the Mac platform because there's ads in it all over the call, which I do not like, and that kind of drives me nuts a little bit. But I do like the clean interface, and we'll see how this runs when the Surface comes out.
Be still, Nick. Be still. I'm just kidding.
Freeze.
Well, we'll talk a lot more about Windows 8 as I actually had a chance to mess with it a little bit today. I'll give you my initial thoughts and, of course, all kinds of news out there. So why don't we get right into our headlines?
Headlines.
So if you haven't noticed over our hiatus, Firefox 16 launches with massive upgrades across all platforms. You now have Reader on the Android platform, VoiceOver support on the Mac, and a bunch of other little hidden features we'll talk about in a little bit. Like we said earlier, Windows 8's coming out. Well, guess what? The phone version is up for pre-order. You can go pre-order it now at Microsoft. A scary little system is coming out from the ISPs here. They call it the Six Strike system, and they're planning to go live this fall. Is it good? Is it bad? We'll see in a little bit. Hey, Windows 8. We're going to talk about the review. A lot of people are posting their opinions up online, and we're going to correlate them and tell you what we think and what I think running it daily and what Nick thinks running it today. In case you were not paying attention, Apple pretty much updated their entire product line. We're going to go ahead and talk about what we got that we didn't get in the iPhone release a few weeks ago. And to counter Apple, tonight at midnight, there will be the Microsoft tablet, the official one from Microsoft of this Surface, running Windows 8. This is the RT version, not the Pro. I'll let you know what we think of it.
Headlines.
And those were our headlines. Thank you very much, Nick. Before we dive a little bit deeper into some of these tech stories, just a reminder that Gazelle.com, you can get your cell phones. If you've got an old cell phone that's not being used, get some cash for it, people. What are you waiting for? Do you have an old iPhone, maybe an old iPad, which a lot of you might be interested in this because if you have the desire to buy an iPad mini, get rid of that iPad 2 or 3 like Nick has. Just go to Gazelle.com, More than 350,000 folks have used Gazelle to sell nearly 1 million gadgets. It's easy to sell a device to Gazelle. Just visit spnt.tv/Gazelle, select your device, tell them the condition, and receive an online offer for it. They'll inspect it to verify the item's condition, and sometimes they'll even determine that the phone is worth more than the initial offer. So they'll quickly issue payment, either by PayPal, check, or Amazon gift card, which I recommend because you get an extra 5% back. Check it out today. Get some cold, hard cash in those pockets from our good friends at Gazelle. Check it out at spnt.tv/Gazelle. All right, Nick, do you want to touch on the iPad mini, or do you want to go with the Windows 8?
Let's start with the Windows 8. We'll give the Microsoft some love here, even from
coming from a Snapple. Like wow. All right. Okay.
Yeah. We'll give them a little love. We'll give them a little criticisms. So, like I said, Windows Phone 8 handsets are up for pre-order. You can go check those out. I haven't had a chance to use any yet, so I can't really offer an opinion on them. But Ars Technica has a good article on it, and Engadget also has a good comparison on the handsets up on their site. You can go check those out. And tonight we got the Surface. Now, if you haven't already pre-ordered your Surface, I think they're close to selling out if they haven't sold out already. But here's the rundown. So this is the RT version. This is not the Pro. The only desktop app you can run on this thing is Office, and that's it. Everything else is going to be run in that Metro style interface. I know they don't want to call it that anymore, but they're never going to get rid of that name. We've been saying it for too long. The pricing, 32 gig, $499. So it's the 32 gig is matching the 16 gig iPad. And then 32 gig with the black touch cover, which is the keyboard-like thing, not a real keyboard. There's not keys, it's touching. That's $599. 64 gig with the black touch cover, $699. If you want a custom touch cover for yours in a different color other than black, that's an extra $120. And the type cover. This is the one that's more like a keyboard. It's like a chiclet keyboard. That is going to come with the Pro. That's going to be $130. So close to matching Apple's prices on everything, except the cover, of course, is going to cost more. The smart cover is only like $70. But they don't have a keyboard attached to them, so that's a thing. And according to what I've heard from pretty much the Microsoft insiders of Paul Thurrott and Mary Jo Foley, they're expecting the Windows 8 Pro one to be in the $1,000 range, because Microsoft said it'd be comparable to the Ultrabooks, which are around $1,000.
And then on those, you'll actually be able to, because they'll have the ARM chipsets. Am I correct?
No, the Pros are going to have Intel chipsets. They're going to be.
That's what I meant. I'm sorry, the Intel chips.
Yeah, the RT is the ARM, and the Pro is going to be Intel. Intel hasn't had a good run of luck here with the mobile space, so I'm kind of curious. Now, you told me earlier you used one of these.
Yeah, today it was not a Windows tablet. It was actually an Acer tablet. Many thanks to Steve Nussel at work. He had it in the office today. We were actually watching the live announcement on his tablet. It's pretty cool. He had a little adapter that he had hooked up to it with a keyboard. I can't remember, honestly, the model. I know it was an Acer brand tablet. And my initial thoughts, Nick, after this is the first time I've had a chance to take a look at Windows 8 and the new Metro. I feel like, now I don't have any tablets here. I've got three. Honestly, I'm sitting in front of three different PCs. I've got a netbook, I've got a desktop PC, and I've got an Acer laptop. I honestly don't know if Windows 8, if this operating system is really something that I necessarily need to upgrade to. I don't know if, for me personally, what I do with SPNT and as much video and as much audio editing that I'm doing, I'm not sure if my software is even going to run on Windows 8. I'm concerned about that. So for those people out there that are looking to upgrade, who already have Windows 7, the $40 price point looks fantastic, but there are some concerns about moving forward because you're going to be moving into unfamiliar territory. There's no start menu. Basically, the Metro is your start menu. So that was a little odd for me to get used to. But for those who, I guess my my feelings are that if I don't have a tablet, there's no point in me even having that because I can't really utilize the swipe features, all that stuff. So I don't know if I'm even going to upgrade.
Yeah, it's a very, very weird scenario that Microsoft has put themselves in. Because under the hood of Windows 8, the core of the operating system, which no one cares about or ever sees, is very well done. They rewrote everything pretty much from the ground up, took out all the legacy stuff they didn't need anymore. So it takes less memory, takes less space, faster, runs. This thing boots ridiculously fast on my system. Windows 7 would take about 3 to 7 minutes to boot, depending on what was loading or updating. This sucker is up in under 2 minutes flat, easy, and I don't have an SSD drive.
Wow.
I have a regular hard drive. This thing flies. So the core of this thing is awesomely rewritten and runs great. The problem is they're alienating all of us. Now, I like I've said before on the podcast, I like the cleaned up user interface. I like that it's not a bunch of transparency and it's very nice and static and it changes with the themes and matches the background. It does all this fancy stuff and it makes it look a lot more approachable and easier to use from that standpoint. But they're switching everything up on us with this Metro thing that I can't get used to, and they're leaving out power users like me. Because there are some amazing things that they've added, like I said, to the core that blew my mind. I opened up Task Manager, doing some advanced stuff with a Task Manager, and holy cow, they changed everything in it. It doesn't look anything like it. You can see what apps are running, you can see all your background processes, and you can see like how much CPU, memory, disk space, or network they're using at the time. Then you go to performance, you have everything laid out on a nice graph. There's a history tab now that tells you what it's doing. You can configure your startup right from it. You see all the users listed and see what they're doing, and the services are right there. I don't have to run a separate services section just to see them. They did some amazing stuff for power users, but they're also hurting them at the same time. I don't know. Ars Technica has a great review on it. We can probably link to it in the show notes there. They're going to do a different review because if in the past they've done like 30-page reviews, they're going to do like a highlight overview, then they're going to dig deep. So you can kind of read what you want. If you just want the highlight, you read this. And if you want to dig deep, you can do that. I've been reading through it pretty much all day, and I don't know how people are going to get used to this. I really don't know. I've been having it. How long have I had it? Like a month now, Nick?
I don't know. How long have you had it?
It's been around a month. And I'm not used to it. There's still tweaks that I'm getting used to, learning shortcuts. I can shut it down a lot faster than I could at first now because I'm learning keyboard shortcuts. But I don't know how it's going to fare. There's that theory. Every other Windows release is the good one.
Well, again, I'm kind of torn because I'm debating whether or not I want to try maybe installing this on my netbook here, but I have a hard time as it is now with the netbook running Windows 7. It doesn't seem to operate very quickly. It seems like I have a hard time just typing in Firefox. It's trying to send tweets in a netbook. It's not very powerful. So that's my concern. If I try upgrading this operating system to Windows 8, am I better off?
I don't know about the netbook, because the netbook has less screen real estate, and that would probably drive me nuts with Windows 8.
But if you think about it, though, this netbook screen that I have in front of me, and I'm comparing it today to Steve's tablet, that screen is about the same size.
Oh, yeah. If they made a netbook that had a touch screen built in, I think Windows 8 would be really cool with it because it's obviously made for touch. It's not made for what I'm using it for. I don't think it is. it's very interesting how they did it because I downloaded the new version of Chrome in Windows 8, and now Chrome has to essentially install two apps. You have the desktop version, and then you have the Metro version.
Ugh.
So I didn't know which one I had running. There's a plugin I have to do screen sharing. I was trying to do some screen capture in the browser to show off the Metro style, and the plugin wasn't working. Come to find out, it's not supported because it's the Metro version. I didn't know that it did that. So now you got two forks in the road for Chrome. I'm assuming Firefox is going to do the same thing, which is my preferred browser. And then IE already has it on here. There's two versions of IE. So it's really confusing as what am I running on this. And then, because like I have two versions of Mail, because it comes with the Mail app in Metro, and then then you can download the Windows Live Essentials, which we're used to from other versions with the Mail app. So now you have two Mail apps. You have two messaging apps. You have two calendars.
You sure they're not the same? They're just...
No, excuse me. I'm 100% sure they're not the same.
I choked them up.
Windows 8 choked me. I'm 100% sure they're not the same because I was reading about it on Paul Thorite's super site that he noticed this way back when he was doing testing, that you can install the Windows Live Essentials and have the desktop version of these apps, and then you have the Metro apps that automatically are built in.
Wow.
The other weird one is SkyDrive. So Microsoft's making that push to take out Dropbox and Google Drive, and I have to admit I kind of like SkyDrive.
I know you tried to get me on it.
Yeah, the Office integration's nice. It integrates perfectly with Desktop Office, which I think is really, really cool. Soon as the new version of Office comes out, I'll test it with that, and maybe we'll do a show with it just to see how it rolls. But I had to install two SkyDrives because the SkyDrive in Metro, I'm loaded up here now, only shows you what you have. You don't sync with it, which is weird. Then if you want to do the actual syncing like a Dropbox Google Drive scenario, you got to go download the SkyDrive desktop app. So now I got two versions of SkyDrive on my machine.
Oh man.
So it's very, very confusing to me why they did it. And then they don't give people like me with two monitors the option to say, well, don't boot right into that start screen on my main monitor. Throw the start screen on the secondary. And then I can, if I need it, it's sitting over there to do the Metro side, and then I have my main to do my desktop stuff. But I'm pretty sure that these are going to get flushed out. Microsoft is pretty notorious for backing down when the complaints come in. So we'll see how hard they stand when the complaints come in, and then we'll see if they fold on it or not.
So bottom line, you think I should wait?
Well, here's what I would say bottom line. It's $40 till January 1st.
So might as well just buy it to have the license.
Might as well get it. You're getting the Pro version too. You're not getting the home version for $40. You're getting the Pro. You might as well buy it to get the Pro version on Windows 8. $40.
And I don't necessarily have to install it right away.
No, and you could be crazy enough to say, like, yeah, you do have that netbook, and back it up and install it on there. And if you don't like it, put whatever Windows it was running on then. I wouldn't install it like in your case because of the podcast network. I would not install it on that machine. No. But if you have another computer, it's worth a shot to try it out.
Yeah, I might have to try it with the netbook because to be honest, Nick, the only thing I use this netbook for is this app. It's called Soundbite, and that's what plays all my cool sound effects. Like this one. So, I'm afraid of that software. I mean, it's not.
Yeah, and then you'll have to check that to see if Soundbite's compatible with Windows 8.
Right. I'm concerned. In fact, you know what? I'm going to check it out right now while we're talking about it.
There you go. And so I mean that's pretty much the rundown for people. I would say for $40, I'd give it a shot. The worst case scenario is you make sure you back up your PC. In the worst case scenario is you install whatever was on there before.
Right now it's running Windows 7, so there's a good chance. I mean, hey, for $40, Nick, it's not that bad of a deal.
Yeah, I haven't noticed that much incompatibility between 8 and 7. Like, here's one thing that shocked me to tears. I remember on the show complaining about not having printer drivers.
Right.
So I just turned on my printer at random. I'm like, let's see what happens. I turn on my printer. It's a network printer. Windows 8 detects it, and it works.
Wow.
I was like, holy cow. I printed a test page. I'm like, it prints. I don't have the Epson drivers, but it worked. So I'm like, oh, cool. So I don't have to go download drivers. I think it's using the Windows 7 version, drivers for it. So I thought that was really, really neat to say, hey, here we go. We're going to roll it out like this and see what happens. And it did that for a lot of the other drivers in there too, which I was just really, really shocked at that it went ahead and took care of that in the back end for me. And it was really, really interesting.
I'm looking at the website where I made the purchase of the software called Soundbite. It's through blackcatsystems.com. It says Mac, Universal, and Windows. It doesn't mention which version of Windows.
I'm pretty sure it'll run. The only app I've had issues with is actually, surprisingly enough, Firefox.
Interesting.
Is the only one that I've actually had some problems with. And the other tip I can give our listeners is get used to the keyboard because it helps out a whole lot.
And that was actually kind of nice too with Steve's tablet today having the keyboard as well. That did become very handy. And it was interesting, like to get Metro up, you literally hit the Windows button.
Yep,
it's
Windows
no
keys
longer.
now.
Yeah, I mean, it was an interesting experience. I'd like to do more of it. So maybe, I don't know, maybe I'll explore this. It's not like I still have the license for Windows 7, so I could always, revert back if I need to.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I would be concerned about is some of the data that's on there. But I might have to give it a try and see what happens. And for $40, it's really not that bad.
Yeah, and I didn't. The one thing I don't have that the drivers I don't have that kind of don't really matter is I don't have the Razer gaming drivers for my mouse and keyboard, but I really don't use the advanced features of those that much, so it's not a huge deal. It automatically detected the Xbox 360 controller on the PC. Didn't have to download anything. I turned the controller on and it worked. Plugged in a PS3 controller. I'm like, let's see if this works.
Time out. You plugged in your Xbox controller onto your computer and it worked?
Yep.
Even though you don't have a... Wow.
Yep, works great.
So I could take my controller and plug it in with the charge kit.
I don't know if the charge kit works.
So you have a different cord then?
I actually used a wireless one. They sell a wireless receiver.
Okay. So you have a receiver then. Okay, that makes sense. All right.
But once you buy the receiver, it's good to go.
Okay.
Or if you have a corded one, I know those work.
Okay.
I don't know if the charge kit.
So it wasn't like you just took your Xbox controller from your other room and connected it. I mean, you had to do other ways to get to that point.
Well, if I had a corded one, like if I didn't buy a wireless one from, it would just work. I wouldn't have to do anything. Or if I had a wireless with the receiver, it would just work. So those people are lucky. What I'll do is I'll try the charge kit. I have a.
It probably won't work. I've tried doing that on Windows and it doesn't work.
Yeah, so I think it's only those two combinations. The PS3 controller worked. Plugged it right in. Auto detected as a Sony PS3 controller. That worked.
Wow.
That was really cool. I needed a longer USB cable though, because the one that Sony gives you is really, really short, so I couldn't really play with it. Printer worked right out of the gate. So I was really shocked with that. That was a really big plus that I just was not expecting on this at all. And I thought that was really cool that they kind of took those Windows 7 drivers and just used them.
That is pretty cool. That is really awesome. Believe it or not, Nick, we've devoted half of this show to Windows 8.
Yeah, I told you we're gonna give them some love. They kind of deserve it. They're doing good things and bad things. So we'll see how it pans out. We'll see once the users get their voice in. That's when we'll really see what happens.
If you have, if you've purchased Windows 8, if you've used it, we'd love to hear your feedback, your thoughts on the operating system as a whole. Email us at techtalk@spnt.tv. We'd love to hear your feedback, and it'll be interesting to see what people have to say, Nick, because Steve at work was all about it. I mean, he gave me a huge tutorial today. He was showing me all the great features, and of course, Steve, you and I both know he's a huge Windows guy, so. It was interesting to see him show me all the different things, and I was intrigued, believe it or not. So, kudos.
Yeah, as I get more comfortable with it and learn the keyboard more instead of the mouse, the new shortcuts and the old shortcuts that do different things, I'm like the negatives are slowly going away, but it's not like it's going to a positive. It's more of like, okay, I don't have to deal with the negative part of it. It's just neutral for me at that point. But $40, I say try it.
Yeah. So in other news, Nick, because this is more in your neck of the woods, being the Snapple that you are, the iPod Mini, the long rumored, finally confirmed.
Not iPod.
I'm sorry, iPad Mini, out. Is it in stores or they just announced it?
I'm going. It's not up for. It doesn't look like it's up for. It's up for pre-order. It looks like right now.
Just in time for Christmas, folks.
It looks like it's going to be up for pre-order, or the pre-order's closed. They must have sold them.
Wow.
Or they haven't put it to pre-order yet. But the iPad saw a good refresh, and a lot of people got mad about it. I don't know if everyone knows that yet. So they launched the iPad Mini. Positives, it's a 7-inch tablet. It still uses a smart cover, which is really cool. It has the new Lightning connector. It supports every iPad app already. No programming needed on developer side, which is awesome, so you don't get a bunch of updates. It has all the perks of being a new device. Downside, screen. It's not a Retina screen, so it's not super high resolution. And actually, it's lower resolution than the current Google 7, the Nexus 7 tablet. So that kind of shocked me. Maybe they couldn't meet the price point because the price point is pretty aggressive on for the iPad Mini. It looks like pre-orders are going to start tomorrow, same day Windows 8 comes out.
Oh, just in time, huh?
Yeah, it's going to start at $329, which is $80 more than the Nexus 7 and $100 something more than the Kindle Fire. $80 more if you're in the Apple universe and you want a smaller tablet. I would say $80. You might as well stick with if you're in that universe. If you're kind of straddling both lines, I don't know if I'd go for a Mini. I'm going to have to touch it first and play with it. I'll have to go to an Apple store and check it out. Because I do like my iPad too. My one complaint about it is how big it is and how heavy it is when I'm like just laying in bed. Other than that, it works great. But here's the thing they did that really irked people. The iPad 3 or the new iPad came out earlier this year. It was in February. Correct me if I'm wrong. Out there, internets and the chat room. March 16th. And so March 16th this year, they released iPad 3, or the new iPad. So how many months later is it now in October? Brand new iPad, 4th generation. So all those people that bought it in March who couldn't wait, that little extra time or had no clue this was coming, they release a better model of the bigger iPad. It has the new chip that the iPhone's using, so they say it's twice as fast, and it could be. They tweaked up the Retina display. It's got new wireless technology in it, so the wireless is more stable and fast. That kind of sucks. I would be so angry. I didn't buy the iPad 3, and I'm really happy I didn't.
So are you telling me there's an iPad 4, or is that the iPad mini?
No, that's also the thing that's confusing people. Now they have 3 iPads in the store. You can get the iPad mini, which starts at $329, goes up to $529 for 16 to 64. And then there's an extra 100-some premium on each price for Wi-Fi or for 3G. Then you have the iPad 2, which they only are selling the 16 gig model. That's $399, and then the premium for 3G. Now you have the iPad with Retina display, which is technically iPad 4.
Wow.
So the iPad 3 users had what? 6 months.
So they upgraded the iPad 3.
Yeah.
Wow. You should be able to trade that thing in.
Yeah, and I've heard everyone say gazelle it,
Oh yeah.
Because it's the same price. They didn't up the price of it. It's still $499 to $699.
The difference is you're getting a Retina display though.
No, the 3 has Retina.
Oh, okay.
What you're getting is the super fast new chip,
which is important.
Yeah, if you look at the benchmarks between the chip and the iPad 3 versus the iPhone 5, the iPhone 5's double fast.
Wow.
So to have that chip in there is unbelievable.
Okay, so I'm finally following what you're selling here, Nick. Although you're not even really selling anything, but wow. So yeah, I that explains why I've seen a lot of angry iPad 3 tweets over the last week.
That is why you're seeing them, because pretty much every stat of this sucker is the same as the original 3, except for better chip, better Wi-Fi, and I think they tweak the camera like they always do in every release.
But you know what, Nick? That's technology for you. As soon as you take the computer home and you open it up, there's another computer about a week later that's going to be faster and bigger and for the same price. So it's.
I think you're seeing it more from the iPad fans is because Apple always had a repeated history of, at the minimum, yearly upgrades. January used to be Mac time. Last September used to be iPod, and then May used to be iPhone. So we had those yearly upgrade cycles. So you knew buying it now, a year later, there'd be another one.
Wow.
So now that they shrunk it, I think that's for the outrage. I can't sympathize because it's like you said, it's technology.
And first, hey, Nick, it's Christmas.
Yeah, they want to pump this out for Christmas so they can sell more. Say, ooh, it's pretty, and
buyer beware, right?
Yep. But we also got a couple other refreshes from one of my favorite companies that people despise to hate, yet I like.
Are you going to bring up the iMac?
I'm talking about 2 things. We have the iMac and we have the new MacBook Pro. So we have
the Mac. Time out. You have officially. So I thought they just announced the new MacBook Pro back at WWDC. DC.
Yeah, it did. That was the 15-inch. Now we have a 13-inch. So it's not going to make the 15-inch people very angry because the people who are buying these new MacBook Pros with Retinas are high-end video editors and high-end photographers.
All right.
Like, I wouldn't go buy one of these because if I priced it out compared to just a regular without Retina, it's like $1,000 plus premium to get this display. So it's like,
So basically, you're getting a netbook with a little bit more powerful than a netbook, but a netbook size with a Retina display.
Yeah, because it's a netbook size, but it still has the punch of the Pro line. So you could do the video editing and the photo editing and the heavy load on the CPU on this little laptop that's extremely thin
and extremely expensive.
and it's incredibly expensive. So they refreshed that. Now, the one I'm scared the most about, because this is what I was looking into before for my next computer. I was looking at an iMac, and they refreshed the iMac. If you should go to the website, Nick, and see how thin this sucker is.
All right, I'm doing it now.
It blew my mind when I saw it. They refreshed the iMac line. Everyone saw this coming this year. It was definitely going to happen, and there's some advantages and some disadvantages.
Holy cow!
Yeah, folks, go out there, look at the website.
Oh my
jaw hit
goodness!
the floor when I saw how thin this sucker is. It bezels in the back, so in the back they don't show it on the website, unfortunately.
No, they don't.
There's a bit of a bulge near the bottom where all the hardware is. So they took all the components out of the whole distance of the screen and put them mostly at the bottom. You can't really tell from the pictures, so it's obviously not that big of a deal for it to see. You still got the same size, you still got the same everything else on it, but the thing that is kind of concerning me is there is now only one Mac on the entire Apple line that you can replace stuff in. And that's the Mac Pro, which is the uber expensive one of the whole thing.
Right.
Because in the previous iMac, my biggest complaint about Apple when buying a computer is RAM. They overcharge you for RAM so much, it's ridiculous. To get, like, for example, I was looking at it today, to get 16 gigs was an extra $300. I could go on Newegg, get the same RAM for $70. That's kind of ridiculous.
Yes.
When I bought my MacBook Pro 4 years ago, I checked it to make sure it had the serviceable parts, and it said it had serviceable RAM. I ordered the minimum, and then I went on Newegg and bought the maximum and saved like $300.
That's impressive.
So the iMac before this one, which you can still get because this one's coming soon. It's not out yet. None of these are out yet. These are coming in November and December. So the current iMac has a serviceable RAM drawer. It's on the bottom of the monitor. So you can go on there, buy the minimum, go on Newegg, and get the maximum for a heck of a lot cheaper.
And they come in two sizes.
Yep, you got
21 and
inch.
You got the 21.5 inch and the 27 inch. The 21.5 inch starting out at $12.99. The 27 inch at $17.99. The 27 inch coming in December.
Yep.
21.5 inch in November. Wow.
Yep.
These are super thin, Nick. They look. I'm not an Apple guy, but like Anthony in the chat room says, it kind of makes me want to get one.
Yeah, these. I mean, I was like, oh, I guess I'm going to be paying a premium for RAM because these look amazing. I couldn't believe how thin they got. Now, this is me speculating. We hear the rumors all the time of an Apple TV.
Which, by the way, I kind of want to get one. I had my brother-in-law, Hunter, over the weekend. I was down in Louisville, Nick. He had the Apple TV, and I was using it. It was awesome. I almost pulled the trigger on one this weekend.
Yeah, but now take that Apple TV.
And it's actual television?
Put it inside this monitor. Because you can take out all the computer parts.
Yeah.
The Apple TV's running iOS, so it doesn't need as much. Look at this bezel here, and you have a super slim, flat display. Now you can make into a television very easily.
I'm surprised they don't have televisions out now.
I think this is the sign it's coming.
That's super thin, and it's so easy to mount to a wall too.
Exactly, and you can. That's on these. They even talked about that. You can take off the back and mount it.
Wow.
So you can take off that stand and mount it, because some people use the arm bezels when they have multiple ones on their desks. That's still supported in this. So TV could be the same idea. So I think this is Apple going towards the television.
It looks beautiful, I will admit.
Yep, Johnny
Wow.
Ive is a a crazy person when it comes to design. But guess what, Nick? They released one more thing.
Okay.
I remember back in the day when you were starting podcasting, I was telling you to get a Mac Mini.
Yes.
New Mac Mini. It is so small. I was like, they shrunk it. And I don't know how they shrunk it. And they completely upgraded it to the new Intel platform. So now it can do USB 3 and Thunderbolt. It's still $599, which is ridiculously cheap when you think about it for a basic home desktop.
It's like the size of my Roku box.
Exactly. You now have a powerful computer the size of your Roku box, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And I used to never want a Mac Mini because the processors were pretty, but now it comes with pretty much the same processor that's in the Mac Pro laptops. And it comes with the hard drive. And now they have this new thing called the Fusion Drive, which is really cool, where you get a 1 terabyte Fusion Drive where it mixes solid state and regular hard drive, and the operating system is going to automatically detect what you use more and put that on the actual solid state section. And the stuff you don't use as much will stay on the slower part of the hard drive.
Wow. Does this Mac Mini have USB? Or I'm sorry, HDMI?
Check this out. 4 USB 3 ports, 1 FireWire port. Don't know why they're keeping that around, but
I can't even see the back of it. I want to see the back of it.
Yeah, they haven't released that yet, but I'm gonna keep going here. We got the SD card slot, which I don't think it had before. Thunderbolt port plus HDMI. So what you do is the Thunderbolt port that Intel and Apple designed supports HDMI. You just buy an adapter and you got it.
Wow.
And I think that adapter is actually cheaper than the adapter for the 30-pin Apple connector to Lightning. So,
wow.
$599 for a solid desktop computer, and most people can get this. I don't know why this isn't making a bigger play, because think about it now. Everyone who owns a PC, Windows PC, has a keyboard, a mouse, and a monitor.
Yeah.
$600, you get an upgrade. You don't have to get a new monitor, no keyboard, new mouse.
I'm stunned.
Mm-hmm.
You can also get the Mac Mini with OS X server for $999.
So if you want to be ridiculously crazy and host a server in your house, now I'm a little on the Apple servers. I'm kind of old school, so to me the only good server comes from Linux or FreeBSD. But yeah, you could buy a cheap server. That's pretty cheap for a server machine, and then stash it away in a closet and never see it because it's so small.
Apple does it again, Nick.
Apple did major refresh. We had the iPods last month, the iPhone last month. Pretty much everything on their site. I was looking today. I was like, wow. Everything on their site got a refresh except the Mac Pro, which hasn't seen one in a long time. This year, I mean. The Mac Pro, the iPod Shuffle, which what else are you going to do to that thing?
Right.
The iPod Classic, which I still highly recommend to people because it just stores a massive amount of songs. That hasn't changed. The Apple TV hasn't changed. And that's it. So 4 product lines.
Buy your stock in Apple now, although you probably can't.
Yeah, I was like, can you actually afford it? You know.
If I would have made that purchase how many years ago when they were down? Oh.
Yeah.
I'm so frustrated. And from me, from an outsider, like I said, I've been running Windows for years. I'm looking at these product lines and everything, and I'm just amazed. I want to buy every one of these things. Unfortunately, I am not made of money and can't. But I've always been intrigued by the operating system, and I had a great experience over the weekend with the Apple TV box. Again, still I thought that was awesome. Yeah, wow, unbelievable.
So the crazy thing is the Apple stock actually dropped.
Yeah, I did see that.
It actually went down, but I mean that's what they say. You know, buy on the rumor, sell on the announcement.
Right.
So that's to be expected because now there's no surprises, there's no hype surrounding it.
Well, there's gonna be hype for the next couple of months with all these new products here coming up with Christmas. Expect to see a lot of Apple commercials on television.
Definitely. The other thing that hurts Apple always is the analysts always estimate so high for them, they never can reach that expectation.
Yeah.
So that actually injures them. So we are now at the show. We've pretty much discussed the crossroads we're about to reach. Microsoft is going all in one direction. Whether that's a good direction, I do not know yet. But they're going all in. I give them credit for that. Apple is staying pretty tried and true to what they are. They're slowly putting the iOS mobile stuff into the desktops, slowly taking them away from old style PCs that you can change parts in, and really modernizing the design and going for the aesthetic of everything. So those two companies are going one way. And then for the real hardcore geeks, we still have Unix, Linux, and the free operating systems out there, the open source section. So this could be either great for Microsoft, or we could see. I'm really excited because we could see the flip of what happened when I was a kid in the early '80s, when Microsoft took over Apple, essentially, flipped them and became the dominant. It could flip back the other way now just as easy with Windows 8.
Well, it's going to be, yeah, you're right. It could. It's the big issue there is getting your computers into businesses, and right now that's going to be tough to do. I was going to say, do you have any comment on that?
Yeah, I muted the mic to take a drink.
Oh, okay.
I do not see businesses adopting Windows 8.
Right, I agree.
Ain't gonna happen. I talked. We actually discussed it at my job. They asked me if I used it, and I said yeah. I said, what do you guys think of it? Or we're gonna go to it, and it's not gonna happen. We will adopt. We will adopt the new technologies for development underneath Windows 8, the new Visual Studio, and the new underlying development technologies, because those are really cool. Like I said, there's some of the stuff for the really hardcore guys out there that they did really, really well. But I do not see any company going to Windows 8.
But I'm just talking about companies that are currently using Microsoft operating systems and Windows desktops. I mean, it's tough to go from that to an Apple platform. It's not going to happen.
Definitely, almost impossible. The only thing Apple has going for them is some of the biggest Mac fans I know are the Microsoft Office team. They always release a very decent version of Office on the Mac, and this year it's more in line with what they're doing on Windows. Now they have Outlook on there, which is big for companies, and so I see that happening pretty drastically on that side, which is really, really cool and really, really neat. So I can see they got that going for them. But if you guys ever watch Mythbusters out there, they tell an amazing story with everyone in that organization on Mythbusters is fans of Apple. They all use Apple products. Everybody. However, every time they have to take scientific data that you see all the time on the show, look at the PC. It's a PC. Because there's no software written for the Mac platform that does that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's either going to be a Windows operating system or an open source Unix operating system. It's going to be one of those two. It's not going to be Apple. But Apple's really not pushing towards the company anyway. That's what I was saying. Companies want computers they can service.
Right.
So if your laptop breaks at work, You can take it to your IT department, and if it's bad RAM, they can swap it out themselves.
Right.
Or a bad hard drive, they can swap it out.
Can't do that with Apple.
Can't do that with these new Apples. Apple's making the push for the home user, and they're making the push hard. They don't. I really think Apple doesn't care about the business platform, except in the iPhone and the iPad. Every time you get a new iOS update, they do make enhancements for the business in that platform. And even recently, they were ruled as a better, more secure operating system for business than anybody else.
All right then.
And BlackBerry's probably more secure, but they're not even in the running anymore.
They are not relevant.
So, Apple is only going to care about corporations and big business when it comes to the portable devices. Everything else, they're pushing home.
Yeah.
And they're going to they're obviously I've never seen this many refreshes in a year is really shocking. So they're obviously making a big push.
Big push.
And it's justified. I mean, there's a ton of iPhones. They sold, what was it, 3 million iPhone 5s on day one?
Yeah. That's ridiculous.
That's insane. When's the last time you heard an Android phone do that?
Yeah.
And I got nothing against Android, but it's like, when have you heard that?
Yeah.
It blew my. I'm like, I didn't hear about the Galaxy 3, which is a good phone.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
It's a great phone. I have nothing against the phone, but when did you hear about it doing that?
Yeah, I'm kind of at a loss because you're right.
So and they're up to what, 70% of the tablet market?
Yeah.
90% of the tablet web traffic. They got the tablet thing pretty much locked down because Microsoft and Google took their sweet time with it. Now you see Google scrambling to go to the lower end of the market. There's rumors that the next Nexus, because we have a Google announcement coming up too.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's tomorrow. So we'll be back next week with that info. You see Google making a bigger push towards the lower end. There's rumors that the current Nexus tablet's going to go $99. Apple's staying where they are. They're higher price stuff because it's designed extremely well. But I don't think even going $99 is going to save them because they took their sweet time. The one person I have hope for is because the Metro interface is very nice for touch, is Microsoft. And they're going a different route with this keyboard thing that you can get with your tablet.
Well, I'm looking forward to next week's show because I always like hearing what Google has to say and what they have to bring to us. I'm a big Google fan.
Yep.
But Nick, we've gone on for 50 minutes and we've talked mainly about two companies.
Yep, I mean that was the big news.
Yeah.
I mentioned that 6 strike system that's supposedly going to go live this fall. We'll see what happens with that. I'm kind of doing more research for our fans out there on that one because it's hard to get a lot of details on it.
Yeah.
And if I find any big news on that, I'll be sure to hit everyone back up with that because that could really hurt us. It could really hurt the internet. And I'm a big fan of the internet. And I don't want to hurt it.
I am a big fan of the internet as well. And in fact, the internet is where you can download a lot of apps. And that, my friends, is what you call a nice little segue to...
Listening audience, it's that time in the show you've all been waiting for. The time when Nick tell you their apps of the week.
All right, Nick, give us your app of the week.
It's actually 2. And the reason it's 2 is they're both related. The first one is ESPN Radio for the iPhone. It is free till the end of the year. Go get it. This thing normally costs $4. Go get it. It's free.
It's been free on the Android, I believe, for a while too now. I could be wrong about that.
Yeah, but they say to the end of the year, so I'm suspecting they're going to start charging for it again. But obviously, if you get it now and it's free, you get the upgrades for free.
Right.
And if you remember, Nick, you used to have that subscribe system in there where you had to have an ESPN, was it Insider account or whatever they call it?
Right.
They took all that out on the iPhone. Every feature, you get it for free.
Nice.
To the end of the year. They'll put the insider stuff back in, but hey, go download it now and see if you like it for free because you couldn't test it before, so now you get a chance. And the other one was the Watch ESPN app. They put that on. They released a good update to that. I tried it out. I was in. It doesn't really work over 3G. Okay, so that's not that but works great over Wi-Fi. So if you're sitting on the porch, no TV, want to turn on SportsCenter, boom, with Comcast, worked great. Didn't have a problem with it. You just log in with your cable account or your satellite account if they support it, and
that right there, Nick, is the big problem because a lot of cable providers are not giving Watch ESPN access to their networks. Here in Toledo, Buckeye Cable, I can't watch ESPN.
What about the Xbox ESPN3 app? Did it work with Buckeye there?
Yes.
So that makes no sense. They gave you access to watch ESPN on your video game console, but they didn't give you access to watch it on your portable phone.
Correct. And now, here's the even more tricky part about that, Nick. I don't even have Buckeye Cable for television. I have DirecTV. DirecTV also does not let me use the Watch ESPN app.
What? DirecTV's not is DirecTV's not in there at all?
Nope.
Wow.
Now, again, it's been a while since I've tried it, but yeah, that's the very frustrating part.
Oh, that is insane.
Yeah.
I'm looking real quick to see if we can knock it out fast to see the providers. So AT&T's on there. So that's another big one, right? We know Comcast is in there.
I'm pretty sure Verizon and Fios.
I think Verizon's in there. So they got the big ones, but yeah, you're right, because the small regionals like Buckeye, because I remember when I used to live in Toledo, I really liked Buckeye Internet. That kind of sucks. They need to put some more providers in there. So let's
Time Warner is also on there now.
Okay, that's cool. So let me rephrase that. If you have the list of providers, go download it because it's free. You don't pay for anything on it. That was cool because I like ESPN a lot, but the one thing that I kind of hated about them is I think on their apps they nickel and dime you a lot for a lot of the stuff. So now having these things all free so you can test them out is really neat.
My app of the week. Let's stick with television, believe it or not. How weird is this? The Direct TV app for your phone is fantastic. This weekend, Nick, I was in Louisville. And what happens on Saturday afternoons in the fall?
Football.
And most importantly?
Notre Dame football.
Exactly. Notre Dame is getting set to kick off this weekend against BYU. And what did I do? I forgot to set my DVR. So what did I do? I logged into my DirecTV app on my phone, set my DVR, recorded the entire game. Whew. What happened again on Tuesday? Tuesday afternoon, Manchester United played in the Champions League against Braga. What did I forget to do? Set my DVR. So quickly pulled it up on my phone at work, hit record, boom, there we go.
Yeah, that's a good feature of that because there is a problem. You can't create a series recording for college football because you'll fill your DVR extremely fast.
Well, not only that, the times change and the networks change, so it's even more difficult.
Because I mean, Notre Dame, you're a little bit more stable on. Odds are it's on NBC. But you're right with if you're a fan of any other college team. Is it on ESPN, ESPN2?
I'm gonna even throw out another app that I didn't mention as well. It's the NBC Sports Live Extra app. It's a free download. It's on Android and iPhone. But this app lets you, and this is particularly for Notre Dame fans like you and I, Nick. It lets you watch the game live on your phone.
What?
Yep. Picture is perfect. It's clear. It's crisp. It's a beautiful, beautiful picture. So my brother-in-law and my sister don't have cable, so the only way to watch it was on my phone here, and it was fantastic. So the DirecTV app and the NBC Sports Live Extra app, both available in the Google Play Store.
See, that would have made when I was watching looking at my phone on the Stanford game on the ESPN Score Center app, which obviously is not video, just shows you updates. That would have made my German Fest a lot better if I could be standing there with my phone, watching the Notre Dame game, and drinking a ton of German beer.
There you go. Now you know. Download the app today. NBC Sports Live Extra app, Nick.
Yep.
But that's only for games that NBC has. So if Notre Dame's playing on ESPN, well, then you need to watch ESPN app.
Well, next week, our I don't know, could be our biggest game of the season here with Oklahoma. Is that on NBC?
It is not. It is on ABC Saturday night at 8 o'clock.
That's what it see. So you won't be able to watch that one, but any of the standard Notre Dame NBC ones you can watch.
So those are our apps of the week. If you have an app of the week that you'd like for us to review or talk about here on the program, email us at techtalk@spnt.tv. Nick, we have gone on for over an hour. Can you believe that?
It's our longest show ever, and only because we had two major companies dumping everything they have on us in 2 days.
Dumping everything, and you know, we've missed you folks out there. We've missed you in the chat room. We record the show live every Thursday night at 9 o'clock Eastern time. Make sure you join us in the chat room. Anthony's been a trooper. He's been in here all night long. Hello, Anthony. Big shout out to you. Episode 8, and I can't believe I'm going to throw this in there, is in the can. I totally just ripped Leo Laporte off.
You ripped off Leo.
Speaking of Leo, Nick, I'm going to be going to New Media Expo in Las Vegas in January. I booked my tickets earlier in the week. I can't tell you how excited I am to be going. Leo Laporte is going to be hosting the podcast awards out there at New Media Expo in January. I'm going to get to see him. I'm super excited. I know you've met him in person as well, but
oh my gosh,
I can't wait to go see him.
He's out of all like the famous people I've met, which in Nashville, you know, they're all over the place. He nicest guy ever met. My camera was having problems. He told me to step aside. He gave me at the time his phone, which was the Droid X, and say, "Hey, I just came out." And he let me play with his phone. We talked about his phone together. I felt bad for the other people in line because he was more engaged with the conversation with me. But great guy. See if you can stand with him, get a picture, get an autograph from him.
Well, hopefully I'm taking an award from him.
Yeah, Who Day Weekly, right?
Yeah. We'll find out on Sunday if we're a finalist in the podcast awards. So many thanks to everybody who nominated the program.
I did ahead and go and nominate it. So hopefully we can get the Who Day in there.
If you want to come out to New Media Expo in Las Vegas, use my affiliate link. It's spnt.tv/NMX. We'd love to see you out in Vegas in January. It'll be a lot warmer than it will be here in Northwest Ohio, that's for sure. So that's
definitely episode
8, Nick. Hopefully next week we got you back on camera. That is such a pretty shot with you and your little pinky up drinking some tea. I don't know what you're drinking there, but
I'm drinking Turkish coffee.
Wow. Okay then. Yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for episode 8. Hopefully, Nick, we don't go as long next week. That's for sure.
Who knows? We'll see what Google has to say.
We'll see what Google has to say. Episode 8 is in the can. Oh my God, I did it again. Hey, email us at techtalk@spnt.tv. Give us a follow on Twitter as well at Thursday Tech Talk. Thursday Tech Talk is an SPNT production. For more information about our other podcasts, log on to spnt.tv. For my co-host, Nick Wallace, I'm Nick Subling. We'll see you next week on Thursday Tech Talk.